Hey, it's Max, and today we're talking about if my Intel MacBook Air is still worth it after Apple's M1 chips are released this week.
Sometimes it's hard to keep my head up, but I still try. I get so fed up. Sometimes it's hard to keep my head up. I get so fed up, yeah.
The embargo for reviews have lifted, and from what we can see, these absolutely crush the Intel Macs. Today, customers will be getting their M1 Macs in, so let's see if Intel Macs are still worth it after Apple's transition to their own silicon. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all of the new subscribers and all of the new viewers on this channel. I'm really excited that you guys are all here, and I'm really grateful that you guys have stopped by. So as in traditional pandemic Apple style, they had another virtual event last week, and it was amazing. It was beautifully produced as always. Production quality was over the top, and they announced a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro 13-inch, and Mac Mini that will be the first Macs to be transitioning to Apple Silicon. So Apple has been making their own Apple Silicon for many years. It's the same chip that's in their phones and their iPads and their watches, and so this transition to Apple Silicon on Macs really was the last thing, the one more thing that needed to happen for Apple to completely transition away from other companies building their chips to them building their own chips. Apple claims that the new MacBook Air, MacBook Pro 13-inch, and Mac Mini are powered by the world's fastest CPU. Early MacBook Air benchmarks have told us that they absolutely crush Intel Macs. On this MacBook Air, getting about 1075 on single core and 2899 on multi-core on Geekbench, it's good enough for a lot of people. Honestly, it's good enough for basically everyone. And recently, the M1 MacBook Air's Geekbench scores were released, and oh man. The M1 MacBook Air is tested with 1687 in single core, which is an improvement, albeit not next-gen stuff, and 7,433 in multi-core, which, if anything, calls to be dubbed the future of the Mac. Now, the new MacBook Air has a completely fanless design, and we're gonna have to see how that works because honestly, I cannot see a fanless design being at all a good idea. Yes, if you're trying to, sneak in a little bit of photo editing while you're at a coffee shop, and then all of a sudden you realize that you're on Photoshop and your fans are all lit up, that could be a problem and a disturbance. And so maybe this will fix the problem. But air circulation, I can believe, is a big problem on this M1 MacBook Air. So let's talk about what I do on my MacBook Air. Well, everything, honestly. So in conclusion, it depends. Who are you? If you want a fairly capable computer, go for the MacBook Air early 2020. I edit on this computer daily, and I have had very few issues. I've edited 10 plus videos on this thing and rarely run into Final Cut Pro not working properly. Yes, the fans are lit up, so that could be a plus for the M1 MacBook Air, but I'm confident this Mac will run well into the future a few years. However, if you need to be doing high performance tasks like video editing, photo editing, or rendering 3D animations, the M1 MacBook Air will give you the boost you needed to complete your tasks better and easier. So that's my breakdown of Apple's new M1 chip versus Intel Macs. Everyone is different, so choose wisely, and I can ensure that for most people, an Intel Mac will be good enough well into the future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. It really helps the channel out. Subscribe below if you're not already, and comment below if you have any questions for me, or if you'd just like to make your voice heard. That's something we need now more than ever. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.